Yeah, it's great to meet you. Thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, what I'd like to do first and foremost, and I know it's impacted everybody and everybody's businesses. The last 3 years going through COVID has been quite a thing, and it's worked on all of us in its own way. How did you get through it, and how has it changed the way that you live your life and conduct business now?
Well, it's interesting because in June of 2019, I had decided to quit my job. I
Okay.
even wrote, I wrote the letter, I did the whole thing. I was done. I'd been in hospitality for 30 plus years. I'd worked for some very interesting people, and I wanted to work for myself. And I really wanted to take the path to be a life coach. That was what I had built all my skills to do. And something told me the day I was going to do it, I woke up and it was not now, not yet. I got a clear message, and I don't get those. Like, I was like, not really on a spiritual journey yet. I didn't know what was going on,
Yeah.
but it was very clear that I was to wait. And I didn't know why, but I thought back on that day, months later when everything shut down. And I remember my daughter was in Korea. I lost my job. My dad was living on his own. He was in his 90s. Like, there were just so many things that happened. But like I've heard you say in other interviews, we just stopped.
Yeah.
And it was the right time. And for me, it was a time to just like reconnect, figure things out. And it was my opportunity. It was my opening. So for me, it was a gift. And I'm kind of introverted. So
Right.
when my daughter flew home, we were like, this is okay. We kind of like this. It's
Yeah.
nice and quiet. And, but it was painful to watch
Yeah.
and see what everybody was going through. And I felt for the people who really just wanted to muscle through and say, I can't wait to get back to normal. We got to get back to normal. And I said, no, this is new now. This is
Yeah.
different. And please take the opportunity to understand that we need to change.
Yeah.
We need to do things differently.
Yeah.
So I love it. Was a good experience for me, but I have trouble remembering those 2 years. Like, I just feel like they're gone
Yeah.
somehow. You're
It's
just like,
weird. The
yeah,
timeline's blurred. I think our
yeah,
perception and conception of time has been so skewed. Yeah, it was a strange time, very strange
yeah,
time.
yeah.
So,
But I also had a COVID romance. So, and I kind of love that. And
yeah,
we're still together, and we came out of COVID, and then we had to kind of start over because you're actually being social with people in a relationship. And it's like, oh, this is interesting.
yeah, absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
it had a monopoly on all of us. We didn't have a choice. I mean, you had to get through it. You had to do the best you could. So it's kind of
Right.
the way it was. So, um,
Right.
let's get a good handle on exactly what you do on a daily basis. So I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of grade school
Oh,
kids.
you're
Okay.
cutting out a bit.
Oh, am I? How's it now? Is it better?
You're cutting out a bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you're back.
We're
Yeah.
good. Okay. All right. So I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of grade school kids at a career day. One of the kids asks you, "What
Okay.
do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
Okay. So, the feeling when the bell rings and it's recess time or it's lunchtime or you get to go home, it's the end of the school day, that feeling, that surge of, oh my God, I get to go home, or I get to go play, or I get to do whatever I want to do. That's what I help people get, that feeling. That's what I want them to feel every day.
So, what did you want to be when you were in the third grade? What was your dream when you grew
And
up?
you're frozen.
Did I freeze up again? Shoot. Did I freeze up again?
You froze. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Good
Um,
face though.
what's that?
It's a good face though. Usually I'm like this, and you're just
Oh,
like,
that's good. That's good.
you have a good frozen face.
That's a good thing for sure. So what I was asking was, what did you want to be when you were a kid, when you were in the third grade? What was your dream?
I wanted to be a veterinarian. I had never had an animal, had no idea what that meant, but I loved the concept of animals
Yeah.
until my dad said, well, you'll be a doctor. You get to operate on animals. And then after I sort of understood more about what it was, I was like, okay, no, no, I just want a pet.
Yeah.
Maybe I just thought I would get pets if I was a vet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So as a life coach, as somebody that gives to others, let's go back in your timeline. Where were you
Mhm.
born and raised, and how did these seeds get in you? How did all of this begin for you to be someone that wants to give and help people?
Well, I was born and raised in Etobicoke, and actually, my dad just passed a couple of years ago, and we lived in the same house. They lived in the same house for 60 years.
Wow.
So it was a very stable upbringing. And also, I think, very sheltered and naive. And I was raised Catholic. So it was very, this is how you do things, and this is how it all works. And I had that regular sort of, get married, have a child, do all those things, have a career. And I think because of the way I was raised too, that I was expected to be successful. Like it's just that, and you got to work hard and you got to give up things. And my mother was a servant. And I think she taught me that. She taught me that we are here to serve others. So even when I joined hospitality, that's what I was doing. I was in service to others. And I always seemed to fall into management positions where I was coaching people. And I really enjoyed that. And I really just embraced that over all the different jobs that I had. And then I got into recruiting. I was like, oh, now I can career coach people. And I kind of went off book a lot. Like I was the outlier that would spend time on people's resumes and talk to them about their home life. And yeah, that didn't sit well with with the traditional recruitment thing, is like, just get them to sign the contract. And I said,
Yeah.
no, they're not, it's not right. Or it's not, I wanted it to be the right thing for people. So,
Yeah.
so that's kind of what all led me here in
Okay. Well,
life.
yeah, for sure. So who's been a role model or somebody that you've admired that's helped you be who you are in your life?
Well, I would have to say my friend Janet, and I met her when I was around 40, and I'd already been down the depression well a few times. And she was the first person that I met that actually understood what I was going through. And that was gold for me because I'd been to multiple therapies, I'd been in hospitals, I'd done all the kinds of therapy I thought I could do. And no one understood what it meant when you said, I can't get out of bed and take a shower. I don't know how to go to the store when I've done it a million times. I can't do it. And she said, oh, I totally get that. Okay, here's what, and it was, and she worked through mental health issues with her family. She raised 3 kids. She had a really stable marriage. I just admired that so much, and we're still friends today. It's been like 20 years and we still stay connected. I still admire her, and it's just a different type of hero, but she really is.
Yeah. So let's take that baton a little further. If you can meet anybody on the planet, anybody that's alive on the planet and spend time with them, who would it be?
Well, I kind of wanted to do a shout out to Wayne Dyer. I know he's not with us anymore, but man, when I really connected with him, I just love his teaching so much. But I've really enjoyed Tosha Silver in particular, because she talks about offering and just going with the flow. And that falls in line with the Abraham Hicks sort of mantra as well, about, go with the flow, go downstream, stop swimming upstream. And I think for the first half of my life, I literally swam upstream. I was someone else for everyone else in my life, and I didn't know who I was. I seriously didn't know. So yeah, Tosha would be awesome just to sit with. I think she's an incredible healer, and she just has a real ease, like this whole concept of striving and pushing. And it's just, I don't know. I'm done with that.
I get it. I understand.
Yes.
So, what is the biggest motivator for you every day? As you mentioned, getting up, moving, doing your thing. What is it that is the chief motivator for you to get through a day and to accomplish what you want to get done?
I think in a lot of ways I'm setting an example for my daughter, and she's living her best life. She's over in South Korea, and I think I left my marriage because I wanted to show her that when things aren't working out, you can take a new path. I wanted to show her that I'm okay. She lost her dad a few years ago, so it's just her and I. She's my only kid, and I think that keeps me motivated, and it keeps me wanting to help people to find their true self early on, because she's awake. She's a kid, and I'm like, man, I wish I was an ounce of the confidence and drive and passion that she has at 26 that I had back in the day. So Yeah.
So speaking of 26, let's say you have a dream tonight and you run into that version of yourself. And based on all the things that you've lived and learned, the wisdom you've gained, what advice would you give your younger version?
Well, first, I would say a little bit earlier on, go away to school for university. Like, don't live at home. Because I did that. I didn't live on my own until I was 52. And really, I think that was very impactful for my life. And I think really living on your own, being your own person, putting out your own garbage, like just those things that I just started over in my 50s. And I would say do it before you start sharing your life with someone. Really figure out what you like, what you want, and then you will attract the person that's right for you.
So let's say at the end of that proverbial day that you talked about being motivated and getting through, how do you look back on a day and quantify it as a good day? How do you say that day worked for me?
I think if I encouraged somebody to do something, or I talked to someone, I reached out to a client, or I heard from someone who said, that thing we did or that thing we talked about, that really worked for me. That's it for me. Like that's all I need is just someone, something, somehow I have impacted someone else.
So speaking of making it work for somebody that you're coaching, what's
Mhm.
been the best client success story that you've had, the best fan letter you've ever gotten?
Well, one that really stands out for me is a woman who she didn't really know how this all happened, but she started to really fear flying, driving. It got to a point where she didn't want to leave her house that much. Like it was painful to be in social situations or drive across water. And she had no idea where this was coming from. She was seeing a therapist. She thought she'd had the situation, but then it kind of resurged and we thought it was COVID related. It wasn't that. And I said, I really want to figure this out. So I went in and did what I do and found out that there was an age. I said, okay, something went on when you were about 15. What was that? And here's some of the things that were coming up in that time. And she remembered it was something she'd forgotten. And it was a horrific flight that she had taken. And it was, they almost crashed and it was very scary. And once she sort of brought that out, it things just started to go away. And she took a flight a couple weeks later and she's texting me, from the airport, I'm getting on a plane. And I was like, yeah. I was so excited. That's the kind of stuff that lights my fire.
So the one thing about the pandemic is that gave everybody time to like delve into art. What was the
Mhm.
book or what was the album? What was the art when you were young that still reverberates with you? Something that really moved you?
I I have to say the whole like 80s genre of music, because that was what through the pandemic when we were bored, we put on the 80s tunes and danced around the house like that. And now I take singing lessons and I'm singing Adele and music is always been close to my heart. So anything musical, and I go to live music again down, and I live in Toronto again. I didn't live here for many years and now I'm back and we're on the live music scene and it's very exciting. So yeah, that makes my heart beat. I love that.
I hear good things, a lot of good things about Toronto. I have a lot of contacts out there and interview a lot of musicians from there. And
Yeah.
my son, he has special needs, and there's a player on the Royals. His name's Nicky Lopez, and he's really big about giving his time. And last year we went to an event. He was going around talking to everybody, and I was like, because I was telling him a story about how when people used to go to San Diego, baseball players, they would historically play bad because San Diego was so much fun. So they would be
Right.
hungover or tired or whatever. So they would always lose. So I'm
Oh
like,
my
what
God.
what city is that for you guys when you travel? And he said one of the best cities they go to is Toronto. They always look forward to it. So
Yes. Yeah. And
yeah,
my brother-in-law is a steel player. So he has a Hawaiian band. He plays with a whole bunch of different bands. So we go out whenever he's playing. We'll go out, sure, till
yeah,
11, 12 at night on a weeknight.
yeah,
You're calling home. Oh no. But
yeah.
no, it's great. It's
That's
great fun.
awesome. So everyone out there has a perception of you, an idea of who they think you are, your family, your friends, clients, colleagues, but you
Mhm.
ultimately live your life. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I think I am a servant, and in the best way, not the yes sir, no sir kind of thing, but just that I really like the concept of service. And I think that I've grown enough that I know that it's not a hardship anymore. It's just something that I embrace. And I think that if everybody could just be a little more serving to other people, I think that would really help us raise our vibration to the mass consciousness, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, when you run into clients and you're close to this as a life coach, what's
Mhm.
one of the most common things that people get hung up on that they can correct? What's I mean, it's obviously probably not going to be easy for people, but what's one of the most common things that you notice that people can start working on to get to a better place?
I think that, when I come across sort of negative thought form of conditionality, a lot of people just think they need to be a certain way for other people to accept and to love them. And it takes a long time. Some people it takes a lifetime for them to understand that they can just be authentically them, and it's okay if some people don't like that or don't accept that. And a lot of people will hang on to relationships with parents and siblings and friends, and it's like, you know what, let it go.
Yeah,
Be you and see who comes along that might appreciate that.
that's great advice. Yeah, for sure. So, Marilyn, if anyone out there wants to learn more about you, hire you, anything pertaining to your world, where can they go?
Lifeguidecoaching.ca. And I actually have a guide, a free guide to living a more authentic life. And that's lifeguidecoaching.ca/guide. So look me up and
Excellent.
let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Marilyn, this has been
All right.
great. Thank you for opening up. Thank you for taking time out, and send my best to Toronto.
Thank you, Joe. I will. Take
Thank you.
care.
Take care. See
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.